Hi, Soul Kim. Welcome back to Carmilla's Soul Academy with your host today, Carmilla. And ooh, I am big chilling today in non-work clothes. I feel comfortable. I feel good. Do you have like those clothes that you just wear where it's just like, I want to like feel comfortable and cute outside of work, but like, you know, like I'm not going to wear this at work. Like, it's so dumb. It's so funny to think about. The sun is shining today. It feels good. Windows open for some breeze. There are literal kittens playing outside of my window right now. So I am in joy. Joy. Because I love cats. I love cats. But anyway, today I have a message to relay. So that's really exciting. I have been doing some coursework. It's coursework over dimensions and dimensional release. So understanding the different levels of dimensions, and understanding like what that actually means and how does that look when you're like working with the varying levels of consciousness. So yeah, that's what we're going to discuss, consciousness. So they really want me to get out, just point blank period. The word dimensions can be easily replaced with consciousness or state of mind or mental state. And they're saying state of mind because your mind is kind of like your sparring partner. So what the mind does is it brings up information that could be or could not be true. So it's like, do you want to integrate this? Is this what you really want to live your life by? And you as the authority or the observer, you get to choose what is true and what is not true. This is why a lot of philosophers believe, and a lot of people, just people in general believe and understand that there is no one absolute truth. There's no one absolute timeline. There is no absolute. Everything is just an expression of consciousness, and that is infinite. It is within dualism that we believe that there is one good and one bad, when in reality, outside of the illusion of our creatorship. And they're saying like the illusion of our creatorship is because we believe that we aren't creators. We believe that we aren't responsible for our realities and what we create. And haha, we are. We're totally responsible for it in beautiful ways as well. So they wanted me to talk about that too. They're saying like we're responsible for it because, and within the separation of good and bad too. And I had this experience last night where we have this idea that karma states in one lifetime you were a murderer, so in your next lifetime you're going to come back and you're going to be the person that is murdered, and that's ruled by or governed by karma. That is essentially, or in the resonance in which I am connecting to, is not true. Karma does not work in revenge or delegate revenge. It is your soul expression and experience that looked at your soul map and said, hey, I experienced this in one lifetime. I think I want to bridge this gap. So I'm going to take the extreme that I experienced here and go to the other end of that extreme and experience over here, and bring these two extremes together in wholeness. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So like if you experience something very extreme over here, your soul has a tendency to want to go to the complete opposite side of that so that they can come together as one thing. Yin and yang, balance. Does that make sense? Yes. So it's not necessarily karma damning people to horrible lives. It really is a richness in our creatorship that governs our ability or our desire to want to create these experiences for ourselves, because in a higher level we understand the importance of a well-rounded experience, and our human self doesn't really understand it that well, because our human self is experiencing it as like, oh, like this hurts, this sucks, or like, oh, this is kind of cool, I like that, keep doing that, you know what I mean? So it's just like that flow of experience experience that is running through our body, being metabolized, being integrated, being moved. So I hope that makes sense of like timeline gaps and stuff like that. So karma just kind of regulates the flow. Karma is just like, hey, this is how we're going to flow. Here are some life or some experiences in form, or even some experiences energetically or on other levels that can help you move through this energy. So karma is like, imagine karma being like, they're showing me like a pilot, or like a pilot and like a flight attendant just being like, you know, prepare for this ride, you know, this is what we're doing and this is what you signed up for. This is kind of what you wanted to do in order to have a well-rounded experience. Karma is just having a well-rounded experience. That's what it is. I don't know why they show me like the pilot and the flight attendant kind of just like, all right, we all aboard, we trying to ride this ride, all right, let's hit it. So basically that's what karma is. Karma's not some vengeful deity or something like that. That's just in the sky. Just like, I see you did something bad. You need to experience more bad to understand the bad that you have experience. You know, it's like, it's not like that. That is more of a human, bad and good are more of human concepts of separation, and less, you see it less and less when you go higher up in dimension. Like when you start reaching higher, even higher vibrations of the third dimension, you start seeing the duality less and less. So yes. Dimensions are basically mental framework. It's like a framing. So it's just the flow of energy through consciousness and the way you direct it. This is the understanding that in the third dimension, imagine the third dimension as like a swirling ball of potential energy. It's just like, I can go that way, I can go this way, I can go up, down, sideways. It doesn't matter. I can just do whatever it needs to, whatever I want to do, whatever needs to be done. That is free will. That is the third dimension. It's just potential energy. And when you're in third dimension, or you're in third dimensional consciousness, you allow basically your understanding of the world and the world's understanding of you to just kind of have a good time, you know, kind of like throw it all at you. Like, what do I want to do? So this is the separation from remembrance. So when you're in a third dimensional consciousness, usually you don't remember very well that you are a soul, that you are in a human body, in order to have the experiences that you're having, so that you can be involved in and evolve your consciousness. Usually you don't remember that. And when you don't remember that, it's really cool, because you get to have a very deep, genuine experience that's not, they're saying it's not tainted by rules and conditions, which makes sense because you have free will. It's not tainted by rules and conditions. When it's weird that they're saying that too, because it's like, it totally is, right? You know how you have like different types of beliefs and religions, like you can't do this if you want to go to heaven and hell. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh, like everybody has a different perspective. Like this religion over here says this, but this, you know, other religion over here says something completely different. So I understand what they're saying now. So yeah, third dimensional realm, potential energy, free will, do what you will, it's fine. You know what I mean? And understand that, you know, you will just be within the flow of that. So you'll be experiencing dualism in a very visceral way, which is awesome. It's a great experience. We're all experiencing it because we're multidimensional beings, and we experience multiple levels of consciousness at all times. So when you start getting into the fourth dimension, that's when you start to link things together. So this is where your intuition and your connection to your soul kind of like wakes up, and you're like, there's something bigger than me that I'm creating here. There's something bigger that's happening. There's something bigger that I'm experiencing. There's something bigger being built here. and there's like foundation being laid here. There's something more being created. So when you go into the fourth dimensional realm, a lot of times that's when we run into the threshold of guilt and compassion and forgiveness and things like that, and we work it out there, mainly because we begin to see things from multiple sides. They're showing me like a cube, and they're just showing me like it's all flipping and doing all this weird stuff. So it's like basically we have taken the potential energy from the third dimensional realm, and we have condensed it into our present or our now moment experience, and we're moving it in order to build something new, to build a change, to create motivation, to set intentions, to move energy in a specific direction toward our highest possible timeline. And this is where you become conscious of your responsibility to yourself and the world and all of humanity and the planet that we live on. This is where you become conscious of, oh, I have a say in this. I can move this. I can speak this into existence. I can manifest. I can be part of this. I'm part of something, of a greater whole. That's where you are in the fourth dimension. And this is where you kind of like pick and choose like what is important to you, what do you want to integrate, how do you want to move forward with your life, what is the future, what is the future looking like for you, what future do you want to build, not only for yourself, but like what future do you want to see for the planet, for the other people that exist here, because compassion is a huge component of the fourth dimension, and of course by way so is guilt and shame when you work through those different deep type of energies. They also want me to say to understand that like both our crown and our root chakras are energetic portals or entryways, and when you're pulling from the root chakra or the energy that's coming up through your root chakra or the kundalini energy as well, they want it to be known that this is like coming from Mother Earth. It's like a divine feminine energy that's coming up from the like darkness or the womb or the seed or something like that's coming up, and it's moving through your beingness. And they're showing me like the energy that's moving through is like a double helix. So the energy from the root is kind of cascading upward and going out and through the body and through the crown and all the way out past the cosmos, or what we understand as visible light, and into something that is completely infinite. It's just light there. It's just space. It's just that. It's just nothing. It's just, there's nothing there. But it's just light. Like all I see is just like white rainbow light that almost looks like an iris. It's kind of like the way that it's shining, it looks like an iris, but I can't like explain it. Like I wish I could like better explain it in like human, like the way that I see it in human words, but it's not really a way to. That's the best I have. And then that energy too on the other side is like cascading downward through the body, like through the crown, going all the way through down into the core of Mother Earth. And there's like these pegs or bridges in between, and it looks exactly like a double helix, like exactly like it. And that's moving through our body constantly, which makes total sense because DNA is the building block, of our, of our beingness, which is really cool to like look at it that way. But it's like this constant like exchange and sharing that is happening. And when you wake up to that realization of the constant exchange and sharing that is constantly happening, no matter what's happening in the physical realm, no matter what's happening in the mental realm, no matter what's happening in the heart, no matter what's happening in the gut. That is something that is constantly happening. You're constantly connected to spirit or source because it's what you are. You're an extension or a singular expression of that thing, experiencing itself in many different forms. Once you reach that realization and you feel safe, or safer, at least being yourself or who you are. So when we're talking about being yourself, we're talking about being your full self. So we're not talking about being yourself that is, or that what your mind perceives is most aligned with higher levels of consciousness, because a lot of times that's where duality kind of gets you, and then you go back into more blame and guilt of your shadow aspects. When we talk about being yourself, we talk about full integration of self. We talk about unconditional love. So the fifth dimension is freedom. The fifth dimension is when you release and trust that there is no limitation to the energy that you're able to harness within any given plane. So in the third dimension and the fourth dimension, that's where we deal more with like checks and balances. Like our exchanges are limited based on what we believe we're receiving. Our exchanges are based on what we believe we are able to give. And in a lot of times when you're dealing with concepts of karma, when you're dealing with concepts of guilt and fear and exchange with love and compassion, there's a tendency for sacrifice. And sacrifice is completely natural. It's completely part of the process. You're always going to be in a position to where there are things that not always, but you're going to be in positions in life where you feel the need to sacrifice something for the greater good. And a lot of times that's mindset. A lot of times those are habits and stuff that just don't serve you. And sometimes they may be comfortable or pacifying, but a lot of times it's just like, this is just here, like, so those realms deal a lot with exchange based on scarcity, based on not having enough. The fifth dimensional frequency or state of mind is the state of mind of prosperity. It's freedom. It's understanding that you are a fully liberated human being, not bound by any rules or regulations as to how you are able to live your life. You're not bound by requirements. There are no requirements. It's the understanding that whatever you do in life and wherever you're placing your energy, you're always going to meet the requirements. So say if you are trying to or wanting to manifest something, but you're in the third and fourth dimension. When you're there in those mental states of, like, I really want this to be balanced. I really want to feel good. I really want to feel this way. Like, I really want to get this right. But then in your heart, you hold guilt and you hold shame and you hold these things. In these dimensions, usually, or really, we have a tendency to create from that deficit. We have a tendency, someone said this, to create from past negatives. So we looked at in the past what was bad, and we say we don't want any more of that, so we have to create something better. We have to create something new. But then when you look at yourself and you say, oh, but you're not better, you're not something new, you have all this debt, then you are going to have a tendency to want to create from that debt, and you're going to have a tendency to want to create fulfillment for that debt. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But when you're in fifth dimensional consciousness, you understand that there was never a debt to begin with. There was never a lack to begin with. There was always abundance. There is always abundance. It's always available to you at all times. But this is a hard concept to grasp when you're experiencing separation from energies, they're saying from energies that you so desire. I don't know what they're saying, so like funny. So yeah, from things in the world that you wish to see, that you wish to experience. And the importance of the fifth dimensional realm and really reaching those really high notes is understanding that the separation from it is creating your awareness of it, and that whatever you are seeking is seeking you too. And it really gets, or it really boils down to your soul's desire. What does your soul desire to experience in this lifetime? Is your soul desiring to experience rectification and restoration? Is your soul desiring to experience resilience and strength? Is your soul desiring to experience universal love, its gifts, its higher awareness, its consciousness, whatever it is? It doesn't matter, but it's tapping into that soul awareness that whatever seeking you are seeking too, and it's vice versa. So that same thing is happening on, the third dimensional, fourth dimensional realms or states of mind. It sure is, but it's just we have a tendency to take ourselves out of creatorship in those realms, while in the fifth dimensional realm you put yourself in more of a position of authority and more of a position of creatorship. And one of the most important things to also realize when it comes to the fifth dimensional realm is the power of your trust, or trust in power. Both of those things are like they're saying that they are highly integratable. And they're like, they're one and the same. Like they're interchangeable, but not at the same time. Like you can take one and say, oh yeah, I trust in my power, but do you have the power to trust? Does that make sense? Because I was like, there's a funky energy here that I'm picking up on that I really can't express. But it's saying that they like you can interchange and swap them out. Like you can give up your power and trust and beg some divine being to come save you, but you can also swap that out and put the power in your own self and trust that whatever comes your way, you were designed to handle. And they're saying both are right and true. So they're saying like it is important to realize that both of those things coincide with each other, and there is a space for all of them. Now I'm understanding. There's a space in your body for all of these resonances, and it works best when they're in relation to neural matter. So what they're saying is like neuron transmitters or something like that. So like your mental state, there are also both these transmitters found in your heart consciousness or your heart space and your gut. So your animal realm. So this is where they're pointing me to, which is funny because I'm literally wearing like the colors. But they're pointing me to the innocence and the lightness within the gut consciousness, and how important the gut consciousness is, because the gut consciousness is where you build power and trust. And they're saying like your heart consciousness is where you build love and tenderness and compassion and also strength, which is beautiful. And then your mental consciousness is where you build this place of compassion and detachment and neutrality, which is really beautiful. It's almost like there's like a serene balance between all of the emotions that like it's happening for me like right now, and I'm like, whoa, this is kind of freaky. Like it feels like such a neutral creative space, like a blank canvas. So the energies that I'm working with can move freely through that space. And I don't know if this is a permanent, like I don't know if I'll be able to hold this forever, but this is cool the way it feels. So give me a second to like, because it feels like my mind is usually running at 1,000 miles per hour. Like, I'm usually, like, I go into fourth dimensional consciousness easily, very quickly, because I like to sort things out. Like, I have, like, I need to fix it, you know, I need to fix this deficit that I feel, you know. So, like, dipping into those places of lack within my body and being like, oh my God, I need to fix this, or else, or it's going to drive me crazy if I can't do anything about it. So this is different. This is not that. This is like, oh, like, there's literally nothing that needs to be fixed. There are no fires that need to be put out. There's just nothing. It's just, there's nothing. There's like, it's just like a very neutral space to create. Like it's just very now moment present. There's no attachment to like what my future is supposed to look like or what it could look like. There's no attachment to my past or what it did look like or what it could have looked like. It's just like, how do I feel and what is moving through my body right now. Right now. And that's the only thing that's being filtered through. I'm like shaking. This is cool. But in my heart, I just feel so much freedom and love and like longevity. And when I say longevity, it just feels like a very like constant vibration of light. Like it just feels like there is no fear of perishing or dying or losing value or wilting away or not having enough. It's just like a constant stream of just flow. Like they're like, you know, like I don't even know how to explain it. It just feels like that. I feel full. Maybe that's the word, or just like not even full, but maybe like content. You know, just like life isn't so bad, or life isn't so like anything. Life is just like this beautiful stream of consciousness that I'm experiencing, and that's cool as hell. Great. That's what it feels like. And then in my gut just feels like a powerful like generator. It just feels like fire. It just feels like it just feels like a light or a torch, and it just feels like I don't know, like there's like a tinge of fear there of like the power that's available, because it's like, oh shit, like that's a lot. You know what I mean? Like there feels like there's an entire sun inside of my gut that can power the entire planet. You know what I mean? Like this isn't just like a torch or a light, or like, you know, it's not just that. It feels like the light that's emanating, but it feels like an entire celestial body that could power an entire solar system is what it feels like. You know what I mean? And that is like overwhelmingly, like it just fills me with this overwhelming sense of gratitude and thankfulness of like, dang, like that's a lot of work. That's a lot of power. That is a lot of energy being restored or placed, or just a lot of power to emanate. I hope that makes sense. But it just feels like I feel very confident in my ability when I tune into this. I feel very confident in my ability to be who I am. And when I tap into the ability of being who I am, it just feels like there's nothing that I have to prove to anybody. There's nothing that I have to say or do that is going to make me a better person. I just feel like I am the person that I need to be right now, and that's enough. And that's scary to admit or emit. They're saying that's scary to emit, emit, put out, because that challenges or ruffles the feathers of the part of me that does resonate and feel the deficit of inadequacy. That ruffles the feathers of, you know, people that resonate with and identify and live their lives through that level of trauma. And now there's that feeling in my heart of like, whoa, of like compassion, of like feeling the unfortunate feeling of not feeling like enough, or feeling like you're never going to get better, or you're never going to be enough, or like feeling like you're never going to have enough to create, you're never going to have enough to manifest a reality that you are wanting to experience, or you're never going to have enough light to reach fifth dimensional consciousness or something like that. Like the fear of not being enough is probably the most powerful fear that any of us have ever witnessed. You know what I mean? Like there are a lot of fears out there to be, you know, worked with and metabolized and worked through. But the fear, the inadequacy fear that is pretty much rooted in us from birth and on is just like, whew, that's some heavy stuff. And that is like the societal mind, or the collective mind that we're all working with, because our collective as a society, we all are working out of this deficit at any given time, or like that guilt deficit, or you owe this, I owe that, you have to pay this in order to receive this. It's a constant working through of guilt or deficit or some form of not being enough. So it's really interesting to kind of sit on the other side of that energy and feel like you are enough, and actually sit with that fear of it and being like, yeah, like I understand why at any given time any human being would have a reaction to such a visceral experience. Because feeling like you're not enough is so painful. It's just like, you know? So it's just like, and we all find our different ways to manage it and cope with it and work with it and move through it and find it, so that it can be worked with and moved through. So that's the interesting thing that they're saying too, that you purposely go through and find it. You know, like you purposely go through and grow through, and you go through these experiences in your body so that you can mend them or fill them with light, or redirect them into universal light. Wow. Wish like the momentum and the energy in my body right now is incredible. But it's also like, man, that fear threshold right there is just like, you know, that is incredible to like see it so objectively. And to feel it so strongly. Like the thing that we're all doing, or the thing that even I'm doing in this moment in time, is I'm going into my power center and I'm literally taking it and crushing it and condensing it and trying my hardest to hold on to an uncontrollable power. Like you can take from this power and create with it what's necessary, but you can't necessarily like you can't necessarily like, Like they're not, like they're saying like it's supposed to be emanating. Like emanating is its natural occurrence. Emanating is its natural state of being. Like shining is what it just does. It just kind of does that. That's just, you know. So they're saying like when you attempt to condense it or crush it into something smaller, that is where or when you have an opportunity to see it with lack. Does that make sense? Like energetically, like the way that it is moving through my body and my mental space, I'm like that makes total sense. But like when I say it out loud, I'm like, for some reason, like my physical eyes are just having some reaction to that. They're just like so dumb, you know what I mean? But it's just like my physical eyes are just like, wait. Huh? But like it makes total sense. It makes total sense. Like when you turn the light off, that's where you can see where that's where you can see where like the places of lack are, they're saying previous. They're saying, I was like, why are you saying previous? But they said you're supposed to be emanating now. You're supposed to be emanating now. So you're able to see the lack with the lights on. That's why. Okay, that makes sense. So like when that light is seemingly or off, that's where you can really have those full like third dimensional experiences of life, of this exchange with life, or life just happening to you. And you can see all the ways in which life can use some home improvements. They're saying they're like home improvements. I just hear like tools and like drills and stuff like gearing up like the home improvement actual like intro to the show. That's so funny. But like wow, okay. This is like way longer than I thought, so it's okay. Like whatever's coming through is coming through. It needs to come through. But like they're saying, like when you operate from the fifth dimension and you operate with the light always emanating and always on, that is like universal love. It's unconditional love. So you move through life and your field of representation. So the way you represent that light in the physical realm or reality or in form speaks to you. It speaks to us. It speaks to everything. So like when you move through light emanating or just being your authentic self, or who you know yourself to be, or who you are, and you trust that and you trust the power behind that, you then have the ability to trust your motivations. What? That's cool. Man, See, this is why I love doing these, because like I always learn something new every single time, and I always like expand and grow. And like I've had such a fear of doing them for so long, but I feel like when I do it in this setting, I can just reach it. You know, like I can just really get in there and feel it. That's amazing. They're saying like you realize the importance and the properties of your motivations, but they were saying motivations and manifestations at the same time, as if they are the same thing. So like your manifestations, your dreams are like kind of like what's driving you toward this evolutionary, they're saying camaraderie and journey at the same time, which is cool as heck that they're saying like the journey, like part of the journey is being part of this team, being part of this team of remembrance, being part of this team of the collective, or metabolizing energy or frequencies for the greater good. And sometimes I feel bad like when I use language like this, because I'm like, everybody's gonna just think I'm crazy, or I'm just some weird, you know, person that's just talking about something that's so far out. But in my body it feels so close to home, and when I wake up every day and I operate, it feels like my reality, honestly, you know what I mean? So it's just like, this is such a huge part of who I am as a being. So like I realize to the fullest extent why I'm learning this right now at this time. And they're saying like it's important for you to do so. It's important for you to do so. It's important for anyone who has the capacity and feels aligned with this frequency or resonation to really realize the importance of your doing so. Of like just walking through your given reality, or your manifested reality, or what we believe to be our imperfect or tainted reality. So the reality in which we are currently experiencing lack, it is so important for us to move through it with emanation, with shining, with construction. I don't know where they're saying the word construction. Oh, with the building of, the collection of, the building of, the powering up of, makes sense. The harnessing of your greatest collection, your greatest ability, your gifts, your, for some reason they're saying archery, and I see somebody just kind of like pulling back, releasing, and kind of like letting the arrow go, and just, I'm a Sagittarius too, so that's cool that they're showing me that imagery. So it's like really, dang, this is crazy. So it is like super, super important to like really resonate with and trust what you really feel in your body. So like if you are someone who, similar to me, I do feel very iconic. I feel greatness within my body. I feel stars. I feel star power. I feel this deep connection and revelation to that level of beingness. I do. In whatever ways that shows up in the physical realm or reality. And I feel a lot of guilt about that a lot of times, because my mind will go into like ego, and it's just like, you know, like shame, 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 guilt, 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 you know what I mean? Like, like shame, like guilt, and like, oh no, like no, like you can't have that, or like, and it goes into whatever reasons why. There's like a deep connection to greatness in my power center that I cannot deny, and I'm sure you feel the same way. I feel like everybody watching this feels the same way to a certain degree or extent. But, you know, this power and this greatness feels different for everybody. And it probably won't show up, you know, oh, it's a connection to mastery that they're saying. It's a connection to our own mastery of self in whatever that looks like. So that's why they're saying like motivations and manifestations. It's just like how, like, what brings you the most joy? Like, how do you want to show up in this world? You know, like, there are going to be people who like probably feel the same way as you, and they don't want to admit it. They don't want to admit it because they feel all those different levels of lack and separation. But for you, it's different because you can walk up to that lack and separation and give light to it and give love to it and move through it, integrate it, release it. Like, you have, they're saying, profound alchemy. Like, you can metabolize, you have mastered alchemy. You can do this in a way, or in an energetic way, that is considered impossible or unreal in a third dimensional, or even like they're saying, like, even like levels of fourth dimensional and fifth dimensional consciousness. Sometimes that there is this separation from higher levels of alchemy. But for you, it's different. For us, it's a little, there's more room for expansion. There's more expansiveness that you can touch. There's more of a creatorship or a kindred ship. You know what I mean? Like, there's something else. Like, when they were talking about like camaraderie earlier, like, there's something else. Like, it's more about like the ways in which like you see or you believe that like universal laws or forces are working against you. It is for your highest attainment or your highest achievement. So you know how like a lot of us in life, and a lot of times even on our spiritual path, we have a hard time separating ourselves from our they're saying any given physical occurrence. And how do I translate this into words? Because this is a little trickier. It is respecting it is respecting the importance of navigation. So it was a little trickier for me to get that through because it was going through they're saying it was going through a dormant neural pathway. So that was a little trickier for me to pull through because of that. And now there's like this fire string just like pinging on this side of my brain. So they're saying something about like any given natural occurrence or like a physical occurrence was naturally part or designed by your destination. So the thing that you are so desperately wanting to experience, that thing has created a source of reality in order for you to experience it. Does that make sense? Oh my God. So yes, like we were saying earlier, that thing that you are calling and seeking is calling you too. So you have designed coursework for conditions that must be met in order for you to thrive sustainably in that space. That thing has also created source material for you to embody and experience in order to thrive and create in that space. Same thing. So we're both doing the same thing. So the way that life is experiencing me is helping it to create material for me to experience in order to reach my highest elevation. And I am also doing the same thing. So I am manifesting or creating this thing in order for it to meet the energetic alignment. So we're both manifesting each other, and we're both creating these conditions in order for transformation and alchemy to occur. I literally had to like look right out the window, right to the light, and like really get that like in. And it's like, it's so simple. Like I say stuff like this all the time. But what they're pointing me to is the importance of energetics, the importance of tuning in, of feeling, of factoring in a higher level of consciousness. So that's why it was a little trickier to kind of tune into this, because I had to really seek it, to tune in, to feel it, and allow myself to receive it. Does that make sense? So like if someone was just telling me this, I could receive it on a human level. But then if I'm receiving it from the infinite, I have to really adjust and really feel that and really own it and be inspired by it in order for it to move within my body. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Oh my God, y'all. Life be crazy though. But it's just like, it's how I feel about it. It feels so great. Like, why would I want to feel, you know, like lack forever? Like, that's kind of whack. You know what I mean? Like, why would I want to feel like not enough forever? Why would I want to feel like I have to feel like I'm not enough in order to help other people, or I have to constantly sacrifice my own greatness or good being or well-being in order for other people? That, like, that's so lack and scarcity consciousness. And it's really sweet, and it's such a, they're like, it's a sweet gesture. Like, they're saying that's a really sweet thing of you to do, but it's not the reality you're being asked to create from. You're not being asked to create from lack. You're being asked to create from abundance. They're just showing me the number 3, and they're like, Empress, Empress, Empress. So like, it's that Empress energy of like creating from an infinite abyss. You know what I mean? Like, you always have enough. Like, there's never not enough. So like, the pockets of lack or experiencing that you're having with such are only so that you can elevate and upgrade within them. You make these spaces better in a sense that you feel in places or gaps in which there were perceived limitation or perceived like separation, because there's just an illusion of. There's an experience I had last night that I wanted to share with you all, and it was, I was in a lack bubble or lack mode. So I was in there in the field, like, all right, and I was experiencing so much, like, I was experiencing like guilt and shame and grief, but I was experiencing them from a different level that I've never experienced them before. And I saw myself like this scared little creature on the ground, and I was like at some like tropical beach. And like, I just heard seagulls and like the waves, and I was looking this way, and there was just like these, within this light filled beach, I was terrified. I was scared as heck. And I was looking at like these beings, like these, what you would consider like shadow beings or shadow aspects. And they definitely had like shape, like a humanly shape, not humanly shaped, but like they were made to look monstrous, and they were made to look scary and threatening. And I was looking at them, and I'm on this white sandy beach, and it's like beautiful, but I was like so terrified of those things over there that I didn't even like realize what I was creating. And I didn't realize like where I was. Like, I was just like terrified out of my mind. Like, if my soul could have jumped out of its body where it was, it would have. And then I ended up turning and looking, and I was being held, and I was being like petted and held by Archangel Gabriel. And I knew it was him. Like, I had to tap into that resonance. I was like, who is this? And that was who it was. And I was like, whoa, like, what does that mean? Like, what do those things mean? And it was basically a message, because he didn't, like, his mouth didn't move, but it was like telepathic. And he was basically saying, like, those are your perceived limitations. Those are your perceived guilt and shames. And he was like, the importance to understand is that you have taken responsibility for creating these things all along for your higher levels of advancement, for your own advancement. So the horror stories that we create and the tragedy that we create, it hurts and it's painful, but it was is in some experiences a necessary fragment or aspect of soul level consciousness to experience. And when they're saying soul level consciousness, they're saying the embodiment of the higher self. So your higher self is coming down and stationing itself within your physical body, when usually it's kind of a little further out there, or like harder to reach or touch, or you dial and you're just like, yo, why didn't they answer? Like, now it's like you are your higher self. You're integrating the wisdom of your higher self, and in order to do that, you have to bridge those gaps. You have to bridge those polarities and understand the wholeness of your situational occurrences or your physical experiences. You have to know that as a creator, you have created these experiences for your highest good. And oh my God, there's so much energy running through me right now. We created these experiences for our highest good in order to expand our consciousness. So like we were talking about earlier, hey, in one life I was this. So maybe in the next life, or even in the same lifetime, I want to go through these experiences in order to open me up. So this expansion and contraction, in order to open me up so that I can emanate my fullest light. So that I can admit, surrender to my fullest expression of life. Oh look, it's Noodle the cat. This cat is so, he's so cute. Oh my God. But that cat's ornery. I love him though. I'm sorry. But anyway. That's a toxic cat. I just want to say that cat, I love him. Toxic. Toxic cat. I love him though. It's so funny. But yes. Anyway. Ooh, this iteration is complete. Noodle was my signifier. I moved through so much there. I hope that like all that made some form of sense to you, because there are definitely points for me where I was just like, wait, I understand. Or like, it like, yeah, okay, like, whatever. Oh my goodness, I love this. This is great. This is fun. Yes, I enjoy this experience. So, and I hope you did too. I love you so much. Thanks for experiencing this with me. It was really fun, and I really do hope to see you next time. It feels so weird to like end it like this. Like I feel like I'm ending it on like a cliffhanger or something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm not. I'm just overthinking it, of course. Like, see, look. But I feel so good about it. Like, I feel so like, yeah. Like it's okay for me to be this too. Like, it's okay for me to just be like, just do goofy, dumb stuff, and it's fine. And that doesn't like take me out of some level of consciousness. You know what I mean? Like, it feels very rooted and here to stay, which feels really good and awesome and cool, and yeah, moving forward. Progress. So thank you so much for joining me today. Again, I do hope that made sense. I do hope that you're feeling this on some level, in some way, and I do hope to have another experience like this with you again. So come back and visit me. Bye bye.